guys, it's Maria. So today I want to go over some of the red flags for possible autism. Now, I will start by saying that I am a speech and language pathologist. I'm an ADHD parent coach. I've done social skills facilitations in the past. So I know the things, I can point out the red flags. I cannot diagnose your child, okay? So as a therapist, I'm going to let you know the things that we are looking at when we're looking at your child. And if there are enough of these, or if they seem significant enough, then we can gently tell the parents that they might want to go talk to a professional, someone who's actually able to diagnose autism or not. So take all of these with a grain of salt. I'm going to go through all of them, explain them so that you notice them, so that you can see whether or not this is something that you're looking at home, and possibly talk to your doctor about, or possibly talk to other family members that are trying to understand autism from a different point of view. I am not diagnosing your child in any way, shape, or form. I'm just giving everyone a little bit of explanation. So, like I said, I'm a speech and language pathologist. So part of what I do when I test kids is look at social communication, social interaction, what we call pragmatic skills. So it's part of my, when I type a report, it's part of my behavioral observations of the child. So some of the things I'm looking at when I'm looking at social interaction and pragmatics. Number one is usually going to be eye contact. So is your child able to look at the other person? So if we're sitting down and we're playing, can they look at me? Can they ask for help with their eyes? You know how kids will come up to you and be like, and they're looking at you. That's super important. If I'm looking at a child and they're super distracted because they are having fun and they're not looking at me, that's okay, because they're doing something else. But if I'm trying to have a conversation with a child and I'm in front of them and they're like this, trying every way, shape, or form to get out of this sort of connection and not look at me, then that tends to be something that worries me. If they've been doing stuff and they haven't even looked up at their parents, they haven't looked at the person who's talking to them, those tend to be what we're looking at when we say eye contact. Again, if they're distracted and they're having fun and they don't have time to look at you, that's a different thing. So you want to look at it as a consistent thing. Can they look at me the rest of the time? Do they ask for things from me by their look? All right, so the second thing we want to look at is something called joint attention. And what that is, it kind of goes with that eye contact thing, is wanting to have an interaction with another person. So before kids develop language, before they're able to come up to you and say, open, and they're looking at you and they're wanting you to open their marker for them, they might find something on the floor, pick it up and look at it, and then look at you like, oh, that's joint attention. That's being in the same space and time kind of thing. Like we're both looking at the same thing. I want you to share this interaction with me. Even if there's no words involved, it's that sort of connection. It's almost a pre-linguistic sort of thing. All right, that's a really basic explanation of it. It goes a little further than that, but that's what I'm gonna give you right now. Turn taking. Turn taking is exactly what it sounds like. My turn, your turn. I do, you do. And before we have language, we develop turn taking in play. You will see kids throw the ball and they're looking at you to see if you're gonna throw it back. You throw it back, they throw the ball. It's little things like that. It's being able to do something where it's me and you, me and you. And that's how we end up developing conversational language later on. I say something, you say something, I say something. But as a little kid, turn taking develops as I go, you go. They sort of wait their turn. Think of stacking blocks. I put the block on and then they look at me and they put the block on and then they wait for me and so little things like that. It develops really slowly. It's a developmental thing to be able to take turns. But when kids don't have turn taking in conversation, or they don't have turn taking in play, we start to wonder. It's usually because they don't want to interact with other people. So when I say there's no turn taking, it's usually those are the kids that if I'm sitting in front of them, they'll turn away and sit away from me because they don't want to be in that same turn taking interaction with me. So if it's that your kids don't play together because they don't like to share, nah, that's not it. That's just normal. All right, so we're looking at echolalia. I hope you guys can read my writing. Echolalia, what that means is repeating back what you've heard. It's exactly what the word sounds like, echolalia, speech. So these are the kids who, if you say, want marker? They'll look at you and say, want marker? They didn't understand what I said to them. They just repeated what I said. If I go, do you want milk or juice? They'll go juice because that's the last thing they heard. So they're not necessarily having a conversation with me. They're only repeating what they overheard. So there's immediate echolalia, which is what I just said. If I say milk and juice, they'll say juice. If I say, what's your name? They'll say, what's your name? And there's delayed echolalia. And these are, you'll see this when kids like to watch stuff on TV and then they just keep repeating what they heard on TV. So, I don't know, they were watching Bluey and all day long they're like, Bluey, Bluey, Bluey. They'll like repeat a little phrase that they heard over and over and over again. And sometimes it has nothing to do with what they're doing that day, but it's something that they've heard and they just keep repeating it. But it's not a conversational interaction. It's not for fun. It's not something I'm saying to be silly. It's just something that I'm saying because it's almost stuck in my head. But those are the exact words that I overheard somewhere else. So echolalia, repetition, constant repetition of what the other person is saying is a red flag. Kids learn to speak by imitating and modeling. That is normal. But there should be, you should be able to kind of see the difference between want marker and them looking at you going, marker, like they're trying to repeat the word marker, and me saying want marker, and they go, want marker, with no concept that I'm talking about this item that's in my hand. All right, so we've got echolalia down. Perseveration. So perseveration, we see that a little bit more with the bigger kids, but that is when they get stuck on a concept and they can't seem to get out of it. So they want to play the same game over and over and over and over and over again. They're perseverating on that activity, on that item that they want to hold on to. It's only that one. With my bigger kids, it becomes almost like a topic of conversation that they get stuck on. So, hey, we need to do this project today. We're going to be writing sentences. And they're like, did I tell you about dinosaurs? And I'm like, yeah, you talked to me about dinosaurs. Let's do our sentences. But did I tell you about the brontosaurus? Because he's a dinosaur. And they're stuck on a loop about one topic or one idea, and they can't seem to get off of it no matter what we're doing. We can be talking about going to the zoo or going swimming or doing something that's fun, but they're still stuck on dinosaurs. So they are perseverating on that topic. They can't seem to get off of it. Now, be careful when you generalize that sometimes, because kids right now are so obsessed with video games that I find that they talk in, I call it Fortnite talk. Like they're saying things to me that I have no idea what they are, but it's because they're like hyper fixated on watching certain video games. And so they say things that don't make any sense because they're talking like they do on the game. So that's not necessarily the same thing. That's almost like it's just stuck in their mind. They can't get out of it. When we're perseverating, it's happening across all settings. So just so you know. All right, next part. So we did those 5, which were eye contact, joint attention, turn taking, echolalia, and perseveration. Those are 5 really big ones. Now, some of the things that most people will say, oh, my child doesn't have autism because they don't walk on their toes. My child doesn't have autism because they don't flap their hands. So what those behaviors are called are self-stimulation behaviors. It is something that you do that makes you feel good. So let's say that you got really excited about something. You're like, yes, oh, right? That's normal. It's totally normal. I tensed my body. I clapped my hands. I was excited about something. That's a perfectly normal behavior. And for kids, it's very developmental. So you will see kids jump up and down, kids clap, kids tighten their body. Don't assume that every time they do something like that, it's an autistic behavior. When it's happening all the time and when it's happening out of context, that's when we start to worry. Okay, so sometimes we might tense our muscles because it feels good. When we're tensing our muscles and walking on our tippy toes all the time, that's a big red flag. When we're stimulating on our hands, so I can look at my fingers and I almost go cross-eyed, and it makes how do I explain it? It's like a really cool sensation in my brain when I'm doing this. That's a self-stimulatory behavior. Every once in a while, here and there, as an experiment, that's kind of cool. You'll see kids that are like, it's almost like they just can't stop it. That's self-stimulation. You will see it in many different ways. There's toe walking, there's flapping, there's self-stimming. They'll look at objects and stim on them. You'll see them sometimes watch the wheels on the toy cars, and they're almost stuck. It's almost like they zoned out and they can't get out of it when they're doing it. Those are self-stimulatory behaviors. Rigidity. So not being able to do different things. So when kids are rigid, they are not flexible. They will not budge. I brush my teeth and I go to bed. Those are my things that I do. If for some reason their toothbrush is broken that day, or we need to go to bed later, they can't seem to change that. That's very hard. So most of the time when we're looking at autism, kids tend to be very rigid, whether it's their schedules, their activities, the way they do things. It's very, very rigid. They have a very hard time when something doesn't go according to plan, and we have to be flexible. Hey, we can't do that today. Hey, I can't be the one to pick you up from school today. And all of a sudden it's a major meltdown because things are very, very rigid, and they have to be the same way all the time, where there's all kinds of hell to pay. Play skills. So play skills, take that with a grain of salt, because as you look at development, we change the way we play. When we're really little, we kind of are just exploring. We're picking things up, we're putting them in our mouth, we're throwing them across the room, right? We're trying to figure out what they are. When we get a little bit bigger, we start doing what we call parallel play. We start playing next to other kids, like, oh, hey, what are you doing? All right, cool. I'm gonna do that too, but not necessarily together. When they get a little bit older, then they start playing together with other kids. But all in all, we're still playing. We're still picking up toys and holding them in our hands and trying to figure out what they are. We're banging them on the table. We're lining them up. We're throwing them down. We're playing with the items. So with little kids, I just dump out a box of toys usually when they come in, and I want to see what they do. I want to see if they put the little people inside the car, if they make the car go, if they take the animals and make sounds with them, moo, woof, woof, if they open up the house and put the people in the beds and things like that. I want to see what they do, how they manipulate the toys. If they take my toys and put everything red in one side, everything blue on the other, or they just take them and line them all up, and if I go in and move one, there's all hell to pay, that's not a normal play skill. It's not. It's okay to line your toys up. Like, it's okay to take the cars and put them in line because there might be a traffic jam. Okay, that's fine, but not all the time. There should also be play. There should be manipulation. There should be integration. As I said, when they're little, there's probably going to be some mouthing. They're probably going to stick the toys in their mouth and drool on them. That's normal. I want to see that they can actually sit down with the toys and play with them. So sometimes I'll get kids who will find one toy. So I dump out all of them and they'll pick one up and they'll just hold it. They won't play with it. They'll just hold on to that one toy the entire time that they're there. They'll never put it down to do anything else with it. They'll just hold it. That's not a play skill. Sometimes it's a safety skill. It's like, I'm here, I'm anchored, I'm good, but it's not a play skill. All right. Concrete. We see that a lot with our bigger kids. So sometimes my big kids that look perfectly fine, that nobody would think they have absolutely any sort of neurodivergence, are very, very concrete. They understand black, they understand white. They do not understand gray. Like there's no in between. I can tell them a story and they're able to tell it back to me. They can answer the factual questions about it. But if I say like, what do you think would have happened if this happened? That wasn't part of the story. That wasn't a fact. You didn't tell me that. That's not a concrete concept. That's an abstract concept. What do you think? What could happen? What are the possibilities? That's not there. Sometimes with being concrete, they also have a really hard time with humor. They have a hard time with sarcasm because it doesn't make sense. It's not a black and white concept. It's that middle ground that they don't get. That's where we have a really hard time. So when I say we are concrete, it's not the same as being rigid and inflexible. Rigid and inflexible is not being able to change from one thing to another. Concrete is not being able to look at things in an abstract way, being very much, this is this and that is that. There's no in between. And my last one that I'm gonna go over is topic maintenance. So that is also with my bigger kids, being able to stay on a topic and talk about it, like have a back and forth conversation about something. So if I say to somebody, hey, how are you today? They say, good. That conversation's over. It is done. There's no reciprocity, right? So if I say, hey, how you doing today? And they say, good, how are you? Okay, they tried. It wasn't the best conversation, but they tried. I say, oh, I'm doing really well. I went to the zoo this morning. What did you do, right? We're gonna try to keep it going. So let's say we're talking about an actual topic. Hey, I heard that you're going on vacation this week with your parents. What are you guys gonna do? Tell me about it, right? I'm opening up a conversation. I'm starting to get a topic ready for them. I am waiting for them to tell me things, right? I'm waiting for them to say things like, oh, we're gonna drive up to the mountains and we might go hiking and then we might go whitewater rafting or whatever it may be, right? I want them to tell me things. My mom and dad are going, my sister doesn't wanna go, whatever it may be, right? It's a conversation. We're staying on a topic. They can sometimes look at me and say, yeah, we're going on vacation. And there's nothing there, right? Or they might say something to me that just sort of shuts everything off, right? That topic is gone. We are not maintaining that topic. Or I ask them about their vacation because I know they're doing something fun, and then all of a sudden we're talking about dinosaurs again. Now we are off topic. Not only were we not able to keep a turn-taking interaction going, we perseverated on something else that has nothing to do about it. So we are now off that topic and off that task. So again, these are things that I look at. We look at a whole bunch of other things too. In passing, I just said affect. Affect is your facial expressions, right? I have a lot. I need to calm mine down. But when I look at a child, I want to see what's happening there, right? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Is there that little like mischievous look in the back of their eyes that they're gonna do something that's not appropriate? Or are they here, but there's almost like a mask on them when there is no expression and no emotion behind it? So that is what I call flat. These are the kids that will answer my questions, they will do the work, they will do what they have to do, but they really will not interact with me. And you can almost tell just by the expression on their face that there's going to be no interaction, there's going to be no sense of humor. It's just done. It's flat. All right. So anyway, peeps, those were some of the things. I went through a lot of them. I'll do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for you again. And that was self-stimulation, rigidity, play skills, concrete thinking, and topic maintenance. These are some of the things. There are many, many other things that physicians are going to look at when they're making a diagnosis. It's going to be more than just play skills and social interaction. They're going to be looking at life skills. They're going to be looking at things that happen at home, things that happen at school. So take this with a grain of salt. These are the things that I look at. Again, as a speech pathologist, that's the things that interest me because they have to do with social communication and play and development. If you have questions, if you have comments and concerns, always feel free to reach out and let me know, and I am happy to answer in the best way that I can. But just the more you know, the more you know, the more you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. If you're able to sit down and have a conversation, if you're able to rule things off your checklist, then you can get the best help possible. There are so many services nowadays for kids with autism that they didn't have before. There are so many accommodations, so many other therapies out there. ABA can now go to school with kids and be there with them all day long to help them when they're having a hard time. So the earlier we get our kids diagnosed, the more we can help them, and then the more we can make their life easy for them later on. Again, subscribe, share, like, tell me what you think. I am here to see if I can help. Bye.